You could run that back in slow motion, but I think considering the circumstances, that was pretty graceful of a drop. So this is a factory XJ bracket that's designed for a factory track bar bushing, I guess, which is a little narrower. So this is supposed to be back over here. I had to cut off the locating tab, and I set that up there and measured. We're going to trim this, and it should make it fit in there nice. Alright, I don't think that's too bad. A couple of my welds are not perfect. That one's a little no matter how much preheat I put on that diff, it just did not like it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. If I was doing this for somebody else, I would probably grind that out and fix it. Or I definitely would grind that out and fix it, but my rig, it ain't going nowhere. It's gonna do what it needs to do. Like I said, all of that is overkill. It's really just helped stiffen this up and stiffen the upper control arm bracket, which this is what comes with the kit. It's just a polyurethane sleeve bushing. Can't really do this one-handed, but that just locks in there like that. But I don't like the polyurethane sleeves because I have these rebuildable joints here, and I had one in the factory one down there, but at some point when I was having all kinds of problems, I kind of had to tack weld that one in there because it ovaled out and ruined this factory bracket. I have a spare weld in that I would like to put here. The problem is these brackets are not big enough because that's a much larger tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plasma cut 2 of these brackets with the same notch in the center line so that they'll drop down in there and locate themselves, but just with a bigger, little more meat out here around the side and out the top. And that should help put that will allow me to weld in this sleeve and have that extra joint. Again, this joint is excessive for this type of rig, but I have these everywhere, so I would really like to put that there. I also trimmed a little bit too much off of this, and we got a little gap, which is fine. I can run a thick washer in there. It'll actually give me a little bit of side to side so I can make sure it all lines up with the bracket that's on the frame rail. So that's my plan there. I'll get a bracket cut tomorrow and we can finish out the rest of this, and I'll throw a quick slab of paint on there. Again, we ain't trying to win no car shows, we ain't trying to look pretty, but we can at least throw some paint. Probably clean up this mess. I think this was factory like sway bar link mounts, which this thing didn't have a sway bar when I bought it, but I want to put a sway bar back on it. I have a new bar, I just need to get the brackets, and I'm probably going to have to rig up something here to make that work. This is kind of cobbled up piece there. It's not super clean, so we'll do something about that when we get it back in the truck. But in the meantime, I think it turned out pretty well. So all I'm doing here is we're making a new track bar, which centers the axle. We need to have the axle centered. We also need to have the weight on it. So very sketchy like. I have just enough weight. There's just a hair of pressure off the front lift arm. And then I'm using the plumb bob and we're just measuring. I don't really know what's center or square. I'm just taking a bunch of different measurements. It looks like this flat spot on the fender on both sides and also through the frame rail looks pretty consistent. And I measured off of the bolt, that hole, both sides, just kind of, again, trying to find kind of an average of the best place to get a good measurement. It looks like we're about a 1/4 inch this side toward the driver's side. The ratchet strap's not pulling it anymore. So because all we're doing is trying to get the length of that bar, and we have some adjustment here, I went ahead and marked the center of these threads so I know like halfway. I set the thread inserts in there, and all I did was I just backed them out like 2 turns each. I could sit here and put a line and do the math and figure out like 1 turn equals 1/8 of an inch or whatever, but I backed them out about 2.5 turns, and that should give me enough room where I can measure, cut my track bar, tack it in place, and then we can actually squeeze them a little bit tighter and pull the 1/4 inch back out of it. We don't have to get it perfect. We just have to get it close enough for adjustment. Oh, we're within a 1/16 both sides. We're just past halfway. Doesn't look too bad. You really, for best handling, you want these two to be as close to parallel as possible. You're never going to truly get them parallel, but we got extra adjustment in both sides, but this is a hair low, and that one's perfectly in line, but we don't want to jump down or go up a hole and throw it even more off. We want to keep it as close to parallel as possible. And I think that's going to end up being way better than this little guy that was like that. We've almost doubled the length of our track bar, which, as you can imagine, this axle goes up and down and kind of articulates as it goes down in travel because of the angle of that bar. That bar has kind of a swinging arc motion. So it keeps it centered at ride height, but as the axle droops down, it tends to roll this way. And as it goes up, it rolls that way a little bit because you're increasing the length of this point and kind of that arc. That makes sense. So the longer that is, the less reaction of that arc, in theory, I think. I'm by no means an expert here, but I have done a few of these full suspension builds, so I know I basically modified the factory. The factory one was way over here. And I don't really know why I ended up putting it, that little short one over here. It's been like that for a few years, and it's honestly never really drove great. And a few months ago when I was battling this thing, trying to figure out what was wrong, I noticed on the Scout it goes pretty much all the way over here, or a lot further. I screwed up and ordered the wrong heim joints. I need 7/8 threads, 3/4 hole, because we're stepping this down. I'm pretty sure it's a 5/8 bolt. I bought the ones with the 7/8 hole. I need the 3/4 hole so that we can put the misalignment spacers in there.